For decades, the world watched Iran and wondered, when will they build the bomb? When will Tehran cross the nuclear threshold and reshape the balance of power in the Middle East? Analysts tracked centrifuges spinning deep underground. Diplomats negotiated nuclear deals in European capitals. Military planners ran war games about what would happen the day Iran finally produced a nuclear weapon. But while the world's attention was locked onto the nuclear program, Iran was quietly building something else entirely. Something slower, something deniable, and in many ways, something far more immediately useful. A ring of armed proxy militias stretching across the Middle East, from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, surrounding its rivals on nearly every side. This network is not simply a military project. It is a strategic bargaining system, a way for a sanctioned and internationally isolated regime to project power far beyond its borders, to deter stronger enemies, and to sit at every negotiating table in the region, holding cards no one else can ignore. Tehran's wildcard is not the bomb. It never was. It is the militias. No part of Iran's network is more valuable or more expensive than Hezbollah. Founded in 1982 with direct involvement from Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, Hezbollah was designed to be different from typical militant organizations. It would be a political party, a social welfare provider, a media network, and also a heavily armed military force. Today, Hezbollah is believed to possess between 130,000 and 150,000 rockets and missiles, more than the arsenals of many national militaries. Over 4 decades, Iran has invested billions of dollars building this deterrent force. Weapons were smuggled through Syria. Underground storage networks were constructed, and Hezbollah gradually developed the ability to produce some missiles locally inside Lebanon. For Iran, Hezbollah is the ultimate bargaining chip against Israel. In any confrontation with Tehran, the shadow of Hezbollah's arsenal hangs in the background, a threat powerful precisely because it has not yet been fully used. Syria is not simply another proxy battlefield. It is the corridor that keeps the entire system alive. Through Syria flows the weapons, money, and advisors that sustain Hezbollah and other Iranian allies. When Syria's civil war threatened to collapse the Assad government in 2011, Iran intervened heavily, not because of personal loyalty to Assad, but because losing Syria would break the ring. Hezbollah fighters, Iraqi militias, and Iranian advisors flooded into the conflict. The cost was enormous, but the strategic outcome was clear. The corridor survived. Israel has since launched hundreds of airstrikes attempting to disrupt these supply routes. Yet the network persists. Cut once, it rebuilds. Cut again, it adapts. The American invasion of Iraq in 2003 unintentionally reshaped the strategic map in Iran's favor. It removed Saddam Hussein, Iran's most dangerous rival, and opened space for Shia political movements closely tied to Tehran. Iran moved quickly to build influence. Political parties were funded, militias were trained, advisors embedded themselves inside Iraqi security institutions. The result became known as the Popular Mobilization Forces. Dozens of militias, many closely aligned with Iran, were formally incorporated into Iraq's official military structure. It was an extraordinary arrangement, proxy forces that are technically part of a sovereign state's army. The Houthis in Yemen represent perhaps the most dramatic demonstration of how far Iran's strategy can reach. Originally a local insurgency, the Houthis gradually received Iranian support in the form of missile components, drones, and technical expertise. Their capabilities grew rapidly. In 2019, drone and missile attacks struck Saudi oil facilities at Abqaiq and Khurais, temporarily knocking out over 5% of the world's oil supply. Then, after October 2023, the Houthis escalated even further. They began targeting commercial shipping in the Red Sea, a maritime corridor through which roughly 12% of global trade passes. Ships were struck. Insurance costs surged. Major shipping routes were diverted thousands of kilometers around Africa. A militia in one of the world's poorest countries had disrupted a critical artery of global commerce, and Iran did not need to fire a single missile itself. Hamas occupies a complicated place in Iran's network. Unlike most of Tehran's partners, Hamas is Sunni, not Shia. Its ideology is Palestinian nationalism rather than Iranian regional strategy. Yet the partnership has endured. Because it serves both sides. Iran gains a force operating directly on Israel's border. Hamas gains weapons, funding, and technical knowledge. Iranian assistance helped Hamas develop local rocket manufacturing capabilities, allowing it to continue firing rockets even under blockade. The October 7th attacks demonstrated how this inner ring could trigger a chain reaction across the wider network. The proxy strategy comes with heavy costs. Israel has increasingly targeted Hezbollah leadership. Iranian advisors have been killed in Syria. Economic sanctions continue to weigh heavily on Iran's economy. And the civilian populations living under these conflicts bear the greatest burden. Lebanon's economy has collapsed. Gaza has been devastated. Yemen has endured one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. The geopolitical leverage Iran gains is paid for by societies struggling to survive the consequences. Iran's nuclear program remains unfinished, but the proxy network is already operational, and it has been for more than 4 decades. It has survived wars, assassinations, sanctions, and the deaths of its architects. It has allowed a sanctioned middle power state to influence global shipping, regional conflicts, and international diplomacy. The bomb is a last resort. The militias are a first resort. Flexible, deniable, always available. Tehran did not simply build a weapon. It built a system of leverage, a ring of influence stretching across the Middle East. And as long as that ring exists, every major decision in the region must account for it.